Man, her D-sword is so fucking cool, dude. But anyways, without further ado, let's get back into this and start chapter 5. Giglomaniacs. Let's go. Yeah, that's fair. What was that? What the hell was that? A giant woman with a head like a sumo sticker? It was almost like a bad joke. I wanted to laugh. This hilarious looking monster was going to be what killed me? What the hell kind of death was that? That's right. Laugh. Laugh! If you laugh, that thing isn't scary at all. I think Buddy's losing it. The giant woman's hands reached out for me. As it moaned in pain, its arms moved in to crush me. And suddenly, my vision went blank. Black, rather. I couldn't see anything. Then I realized it had probably crushed my eyes. The hilarious-looking sumo sticker woman had crushed my eyes. I was gonna be torn apart like Sarika got killed. It was the funniest thing in the world. Could you even imagine anything stupider? Hey, what are you doing? Suddenly, I heard a sharp voice next to me. Something covered my mouth to stop me from laughing. I was grabbed from behind, and thin but powerful arms were wrapped around my neck. It hurts. I can't breathe. Stay quiet. Don't make any more idiotically loud noises. If you promise to stay quiet, I'll let you go. But if you make even a single sound, I'll strangle you until you pass out. I nodded as hard as I could. And then the hands around my neck relaxed, and it became much easier to breathe. My vision came back at the same time. Whoever had grabbed me had covered my eyes as well as my mouth. They hadn't been crushed at all. After all, rather. Where's that woman? Where's that monster? Calm down already. I doubled over in pain as she punched me in the stomach. I could feel stomach acid coming up into my mouth and burning it. But the pain made my head feel much clearer. And when I looked up, I didn't see a monster with the head of a sumo sticker anymore. Just a dark, musty hallway that stretched on forever. Huh? What? Was that just a hallucination? Hey, are you okay? Onoe, Ito, what did I... You had some kind of fit, and then you started yelling. We almost panicked too. Manakuno Sato-san came to help us. Kuno Sato-san? Isn't she... Oh, right. I think she's the girl who was with Shinjo-san. Goddamn amateurs. What are you even doing in a place like this? Yeah, I remember that cold voice. I looked back at her.
やっぱり
Yeah,
この人
that's
か。
definitely her.
お前たち
It doesn't look like someone
誰か
brought
に
you
連れて
here,
こられた
which means...
というわけではなさそうだな。ということはまさか
How did you sneak in here by yourselves?
どうやって？
どうって
How?
私たちですら
Even we had a hell of a
ここの
time
キーを
getting the
入手
key
す
to
るの
this
に
place.
かなりの
So
苦
how
労
did
を
you
強い
get
ら
in
れたんだ。
here?
なのに
Sure, we had a bit of a bad time in the autopsy room, but it hadn't really been that hard to get in here. None of the doors had been locked. When I told her that, Kunosata-san glared at us with suspicious eyes.
久野里さん。
まあいい。
Whatever. Anyway,
とにか
you're
く
in
邪
the
魔だ。
way.
今すぐ帰れ。
おいおい
Come on.
そりゃ
You
ない
can't
だ
do
ろ
that to us.
助けて
I
くれたの
appreciate
は
you
感謝す
saving
るけど
us,
さ
but you can't
い
just...
きなり邪魔者扱いとか
The next instant, Kunosato-san had closed the gap between Ito and herself and started strangling him. Sheesh.
騒ぐなと言ったの
I
が聞
told
こ
you
えな
not
かっ
to
たの
make
か。
noise. Did you not hear me? Ito nodded, tears coming out of his eyes. I could understand why. I didn't know how she could store so much power in her tiny body, but I just felt it for myself. Ito rubbed his throat in pain as she let him go.
もう一度言う
Now。say it again.
邪魔だ。
You're in the way.
帰れ。
Now go. Her voice was intimidating enough that I almost obeyed, but we'd come here for a reason. And... this place had something to do with her past. If I could, I wanted to find out what happened back then. Maybe we could finally be rid of the nightmare that had been making us suffer for so long. So even though she scared me, I needed to make it clear to her. But
僕たちは
we... We're here because you have something we have to do. We can't go home just because you tell us to.
おの
No, no way. That was what I was trying to say.
おのえ。
No, no way.
お前
You're on away. Serika?
セリカか。
Yeah, that's right.
何
What
か。
is it?
いや、
Nothing.
とにかく
Just
帰るんだ。
leave.
危険
I
なの
know
分か
it's
ってます。
dangerous, but
でも
we have
僕たちだって
to.
どうしても。
誰がお前
Who
たち
said I
の
was
心
worried
配をし
about
ている？
you?
私は
I
私
have my
の
own
目的
reasons
があ
for
って
being
ここに
here.
いる。
I just don't want you
お前たち
screwing
に
up
勝手な
keeping me
行
from
動をされ
achieving
て
my goal.
その目的の遂行を邪魔されては困ると。そう言ってるんだ。
How cold?
その
Why are
目
you
的って
here
何なん
then?
です？
お前たちには
It's got
関係な
nothing
い
to。do with you. She turned around and started to walk away.
いえ、いい
Oh,
ですよ。
fine.
だったら
We'll
僕
do
たち
what
も
we
勝手
want
にします
then.
から。
しますから。
We will.
何？
What? She turned around and glared at us. Her glare was like with the blah blah blah. Her glare was like a fierce panther's. I swallowed my words, but Sarika didn't. We're not going to leave if you won't tell us why. you brain dead idiot.
さあ、タク
Come on, Taku.
しんちゃんも
Jin-chan,
行こう。
let's hurry and
急
get
い
that
でタク
phone
のス
back.
マホ見つけなきゃ。
あ
Yeah,
やっぱ女って
man.
いざっ
Women
て
are
時
strong when it
強えな
counts, huh? Ida whispered in my ear. Fine.
だったらおとなし
Follow
くつい
me
てこい。
then. Just do what I
私の
tell
言うこと
you,
に逆らうな
okay?
よ。
いいんす
Is
か
that alright? Ito had become very polite toward her after she strangled him. I mean, that's fair.
時間がないん
There's no
だ。
time.
しか
And
も
it's taken a lot of
こ
careful
こまで慎重に
investigation
調
to
査を
get
進め
this
てきたの
far.
に、
I don't
お
want you
前たち
getting
が見つ
found
か
or
ったり、
causing a fuss.
騒ぎを起こ
That
さ
would
れると
ruin
したら、
everything.
すべてが水の泡になる。
Her arrogant manner was almost enough to make me talk back to her, but then I realized something. If she'd done a lot of careful investigation, that meant she had information that we didn't. So wouldn't it be better to pretend to obey for now?
それで
And then in the end,
最後
we
に
can
こっち
use
が
you.
利用してやる。
話は
When
終
we're
わ
done
りだ。
talking,
壁
follow
使
me
い
along
に
the wall.
静かについて
No
こ
loud
い。
noises or talking.
大きな音や声は出すな。
She looked down the hallway and then moved over to the wall. And then she started to move, quickly and quietly. I made eye contact with Ito and Serika, then followed her. And the further down the hallway we went, the darker it got. The lights were sporadically placed, and half of them were burnt out. You had to look carefully to see more than a few meters ahead. The only things I had to guide me were the black-haired girl in front of me, and the wall that I was touching with my hand. The wall had been repaired for a long time. The paint had fallen off in some places, and some of the steel beams underneath were exposed. This place must have been built a long, long time ago. We walked through the underground labyrinth as quietly as we could. None of my five senses were of any use to me now, and I had no idea where I was or how I got in there. Bakuna Sata-san seemed to know exactly where she was going. Looking back, maybe we were lucky to meet her here. And what's that? I had no idea how long we'd been walking for. But we finally came to a part of the hallway with the row of doors on the opposite wall. The doors were made of steel and looked very strong. On the upper part of each one was what looked like a number plate. There were tiny windows on the doors, but they had thick bars on them. They looked like the solitary confinement cells I'd seen on a TV show once.
この中に
Are there people in here?
いや
No,
まさか
no way. The space beyond the bars was pitch black, and I couldn't tell if there was anything inside.
なんか
This is
気味悪
pretty
いな
creepy.
だから、
Shut up and keep
Damn it,
walking.
す
Sorry. Ito quickly apologized, but Kunosata-san turned around, walked up to him, and wrapped her hand around his throat again.
遊び
I'm
じゃ
not
ないん
playing
だ。
around here. You're going to get killed.
死ぬぞ。
At this rate, you're the one that's gonna kill him, my dear. Ito nodded again and again, until she finally glared at him one last time and let him go. He put his hand to his throat and moaned a little. It was obvious that Kunosata-san wasn't messing around. Maybe this place was more dangerous than I thought. Suddenly, I heard the sound of someone pounding the door from the inside. Someone's inside?
なんなんだよ
What the hell's going on?
静か
Be
にしろ。
quiet.
騒ぐ
Don't
な。
make a fuss. But We almost screamed, but when we saw Kunosata-san's glare, we quickly put our hands over our mouths. What the hell was that scream? Oh no. No! Sarika tugged frantically at my arm. Lenita grabbed onto me too. I also wanted to cling to someone, but there was no one for me to grab.
あれ
Look, I just saw
あっ
eyes
ちの扉の
behind
中
that
から目が
door.
何
What? I looked over where Ito was pointing and tried to see for myself. But I couldn't see anything. You're imagining it, man. No, I'm sure I saw them. Oh, those were
間違い
definitely
なく目だっ
eyes.
た
I'm wondering why that humming got translated as pass, but... No, there was singing. I could hear a girl singing in a tiny, barely audible voice. Creak, creak. A woman was pushing an old baby carriage down the hallway toward us. She was the one singing. May pass, may pass. Sarika and Ito flinched in terror. My heart was beating so fast and so loud that I could hear the sound echoing in my ears.
止まれ。
Don't move.
壁に張り付いて
Get
じっ
up
と
close
して
to
い
the
ろ。
wall and stay put.
向こうに
She
こっ
can't
ちは見え
see
てい
us.
ない
But...
でも
いいから
Do
喋るな
it. Don't talk. Kunosata-san pushed her back up against the wall and held her breath. We did the same, our bodies shaking with fear as we moved.
もっと歌歌って
You want me to sing some more, right? Creak, creak. The sound of the creaking gold carriage got closer and closer as the woman passed near us. Kunosata-san was right. Her eyes were hazy and out of focus, and she didn't seem to notice us. But she was only a meter away. You may pass. You may pass. Slowly. Slowly. She sang as she pushed the carriage right past us. Ito was so terrified that his body started to spasm. He gave a small cry. Marshall. The woman stopped right in front of us and slowly turned around. Her empty eyes stared at us, and then slowly, jerkily, like a broken machine, she tilted her head. We clung to the wall and held our breath, unable to move a muscle. We were too scared to even close our eyes. I can't take this anymore. I want out. I want to get away from here. If I stay here another minute, I'm going to go crazy. Oh, buddy, you're already crazy. And the woman stared at us for what felt like hours. But then, she looked forward once more, as if nothing had happened, and started to walk again. You may pass, you may pass. I almost collapsed to the ground in relief. And I couldn't take my eyes off of her as she disappeared into the darkness.
自分たちがどう
Do
い
you
う場所
understand
に
what
いる
kind
の
of
か
place you're in now?
少しは分かったか
Even though Even though we'd been almost crushed by the terror, Kunosata-san had been completely calm the whole time.
帰りたい
I
と
don't
泣い
care
て
if you want to go
も
home.
もう遅い
It's
か
too
ら
late for that now. After
そこが
all,
目的の部屋
that
だ
room is what I'm here for. Kunosata-san moved away from the wall and stared straight ahead of us.
目的の
That room.
部屋
I followed her gaze to a pair of double doors in the darkness. They were different than the others. They looked like the doors to a normal lab.
来い
Come on,
遅れるな
don't fall behind. Konosata-san headed toward the doors, seeming completely unafraid. Sarika's legs were shaking too much for her to move, so Ito and I helped her as we followed. When we got to the door, Konosata-san took out what looked like a key card from her skirt pocket. This door had a modern electric lock, unlike the others we'd seen so far. She put the key card up to the reader, and the door swung open silently. She disappeared into the room, and we quickly followed. We all gasped as we entered the room. The entire wall of the room was lined with monitors. They were probably set up to observe something, but every one of them was off, so there was no way to tell what it was. But it was hard to believe that someone would set up something like this in a normal hospital.
おい
Hey.
Hey.
Yes. Konosata-san turned toward Ito and gave him an order in a flat and emotionless voice.
見張りくらいは
You
やって
could
も
at
ら
least
おう
watch the damn door.
ドアの
Listen
外
for
の
any
音に
sounds
注意しちゃう
outside. And if you hear anyone
誰か来たら
coming,
知らせるんだ
tell me.
了解
Roger. Konosata-san nodded, looking around the room, and then headed straight for her computer. She took a look at the wiring behind it, and then flipped the power switch. The machine started to make a low noise.
動くん
This stuff
ですか
still runs.
見ればわかるだ
Obviously,
ろ
you can see it for yourself.
でも
But
勝手に
is it
立ち上
okay
げ
to
たり
just
し
put
て
it
大
up
丈夫
like
なんですか
that?
ね
どうして
Why?
だって
Because
ネ
if
ットで
it's
つながっ
connected
て
to
た
the
りした
net,
ら
they
動
might
かし
know
てる
you
こと
turned
バ
it
レるんじ
on.
ゃ
心配ない
Don't worry. I've confirmed that
こ
it's
い
a
つがスタンド
standalone
アローンだとい
system.
うことは確認してある
No, that explains it. If that's true, at least we won't have to worry about someone seeing it from the outside.
お前たちが思いつくよう
Do you
なこ
think
と
that
を
any ideas you could come with
私が
I
考え
wouldn't
な
have
いと
come
でも
up with
思った
already?
のか
Don't insult me
バカ
like
にするな
that.
よ
And she was as obnoxious as ever. Neither of us know the first thing about you, though, so can you really blame us with something that neither Ito nor I could say? No, OS on the computer booted up. I looked at the screen and saw Kunosata-san entering some kind of password. And the password was accepted and the screen filled with several holders. She opened them up and began carefully checking the contents of each one. Unfortunately, many of the files were written in English, and we had no idea what they said. Konosata-san, however, was reading through each one and nodding.
これは
This whole
フォ
folder's
ルダ
got a
自体に
password
パスが
on
か
it,
かってるな
which means this is
というこ
where...
とはこの先か
She seemed to be trying to unlock the password at incredible speed.
あ
Hey,
あなんだよ
what?
彼女
You ever see her
学校
at
で見た
school?
ことあるかいや
No? Why?
どうしてだ学校にいたんだ
She
よ
was at school wearing her
うちの制
uniform,
服着て
so she's probably a
だ
student.
からうちの生徒
I
のは
guess
ずな
you've
んだ
never
けど
seen her either, huh?
そうかお前も見たことないのか マジ
Are
か
you
よそれ
serious? Ito seemed more shocked than I expected.
嘘だろ
You're kidding, great.
こんな
You're telling me I missed a pretty
俺
girl
が
like
チェック
this?
してなかっただとは
Ito? Not only was she attractive, she seemed incredibly smart. She had an arrogant attitude that made her nothing like the other students. If she'd been coming to school, she would have stood out, in both a good and bad way. But Ito didn't know her. 何を調べてるんですか? What are you looking at? Sarika asked the question that both Ito and I had been too afraid to ask. I was sure she'd be told to shut up, but...
この施設で何が
What they
行
were
わ
really
れてい
doing
た
here at
か
this facility.
だよ。
She answered Sarika's question much more easily than I'd expected. Then maybe I could ask something too.
この施設
Does
って
this facility have
病院とは
something to do
何か
with the
関係が
hospital?
黙って
I
ろと
told
言
you
っ
to
ただ
shut
ろうな
up. Damn it. Why am I getting treated so differently? Is it because Sarika's a girl? Is she one of, you know, those types? I wouldn't be surprised if she was a lesbian. However, her comment, I think, has more to do with, however, like the reason behind her reacting to Onoe's name. Don't tell me she normally dresses and acts like a boy. Okay. Those types is crazy. However, this is also crazy. Buddy. I'll explain why Ito didn't know her. Kunosata-san ignored me and typed in a series of commands, then opened what looked like a top-secret file. And then...
Jared.
That's it. Hang on.
Jared.
Okay. It almost sounded like actual English, but not. She smiled for the first time that I'd ever seen and clicked on a file. And then something appeared on the screen. A boy. No, it's an ink blot test. Was it some kind of drawing? It was a strange picture drawn in ink and paint.
何これ?
What is this?
落書き?
A scribble? Close.
いや違う
No, that's...
あれは
I've seen this somewhere before. That is...
そうか
Yeah.
ロールシャッハテストだ
It's definitely a Rorschach test. I definitely butchered that. I think it's just one of those words that I'll probably never get right, and I have to live with that. And so do you. I remember reading about them in an issue of Cool Cat Press.
ほう。
Heh.
抜
You
け
have
た
a
顔
stupid
してい
looking
るが
face. But I guess you're
最低
not
限の知識
completely
はあるよう
ignorant.
だな。
I wasn't sure if that was a compliment or an insult. It was an insult, buddy.
ロールシャッハテスト?
Dressage test? Eh.
あれだ
It's some
確か
kind of
性格診
personality
断かなん
test,
かの
right?
そうイン
That's
クのシミで
right.
でき
And
た全く
depending
意
on
味の
what
ない
someone
図形が
sees
何
in
に見える
completely
かで
meaningless ink
その人
blot,
の性格
you
や
can
思考が分
analyze
析
the
できるんだ
personality and thought patterns.
正確に言えば
More precisely,
イ
you
ンクの
spill
シミ
ink
を
on a
落とし
piece
た
of
紙を
paper
真ん
and
中
fold
で
it
折
in
り
the
曲げ
middle, and
そ
then
れ
use
で
the
生じた
symmetrical
左右
image that
対称の
results
図形
in.
を使う。
Just like Kunosato-san said, all the pictures on the screen were almost perfectly symmetrical, blah.
ただし、
But there's
Rorschach
doubts as to
test
whether the
自体
Rorschach test
果たして
actually
精神
functions
分
as a
析法として有効
psychoanalytical
かどう
tool.
か疑問視もされているんだがな。
Actually, Peachy, you're here with perfect timing. How the fuck do you pronounce that? Like the name of the ink blot test? Because I am struggling. I think it's mostly because of the double shush sounds, because I struggle with those in general, like when there's too many of them. But I'm out here perishing. And if they're gonna keep saying this word a bunch more times, I think I should get some help. Honestly, the English version is just like Rorschach, to just say that. But Rorschach. Okay. I would never have guessed that in a million years, not gonna fucking lie. Rorschach test. That's stupid. Kunosato-san was studying the screen intently.
ってことは
What does that mean?
ここはその
This is a psych ward?
上にある
Like
精
the
神
one
科と同じような
upstairs?
施設だったということですか
If that was the case, I could imagine what these monitors were there for. They were they were to look at each of the patient's rooms. You could say it in the actual German way, but you're not gonna try to type that out. That's fair. And even then, that wouldn't necessarily help me in particular, because I don't German pronunciation rules. That would mean that this was a medical facility that treated illnesses. I don't think much could have prepared me for that statement. Like, yeah. I think that's what most medical facilities are for. At least, that's what I wanted it to mean. Because... that thing that Serika and I had seen as a child. And that strange atmosphere that we'd sensed. And that voice, which I could still hear in my ears. Save me. We had abandoned her and ran away from this place. So if that wasn't some kind of torture chamber, and this place was actually curing her, Sarika and I would be free of the guilt that had been with us for so long. But my hopes...
違う。
No.
ここはそん
This
な
place
生
isn't
優しい場所
anything
じゃ
like
ない。
that. I'm quickly dashed by Kunosato-san's answer. She opened another folder. It was filled with reports, written in Japanese this time.
センスへの断続的刺激
Clinical
による
trials
臨床
involving
実験。
intermittent pulses to the senses.
ロブスに与える電
Electrical
気信号
signals that affect the
Phenomena.
loops and their phenomena.
思った通り、
Just as I thought.
ここでは
They were doing
脳科
clinical
学
trials
方面
based
から
on
の
a
アプロ
brain
ーチによ
science
る
approach.
臨床実験が行われていたようだな。
脳科
A
学
brain science approach?
臨床実験って
Clinical trials?
うるさい。
Shut up.
余計
Don't
な口を
distract
挟むな。
me.
でも
But
僕の
I
よく知っ
think
て
a
る子が
girl I know
こ
might
こに
have
いた
been
かもしれない
here.
んです。
何？
What? I lied. I didn't know who she was. But I thought that if I didn't lie, then Kunosato-san would never tell me anything. Just as I expected. When she turned around, I saw the first faint glimmerings of interest in me on Kunosato-san's face. I gave her a brief description of what I'd witnessed here so long ago. Kunosato-san bit her lip. Her expression was different than before. But then she forced herself to look back at the computer.
はあ、
Yeah,
それ
that
は
was
間
definitely a
違い
human
なく
experiment.
人体実験だ。
人
A
体
human
実験
experiment? No, then that means... Save me. And then that means she was... The horrible vision started to eat away at me again.
簡単に言えば、
In the simplest terms,
人間の
they
脳を
were
いじる
experimenting
実
by
験だ
screwing around with the human brain.
脳をいじる
Screwing around with the human brain.
そん
And
な
that's just...
だから言った
I
だろ。
told you. This place
ここは
isn't
そんな
anything
生優
like
し
what
い
you
場所じ
thought
ゃ
it
ないと。
was. Kunosato-san was trying to keep her face as expressionless as possible. And then the second she opened up another file, she gasped a little. I could see the words on the screen as well. Oh, wait a second. What is this? She was completely focused on reading the report, so she didn't notice that I was looking over her shoulder as well.
超感覚
Clinical
的知覚に
trials and
関する臨
extrasensory
床実験
perception. Specific
特殊な事
tendencies
象
of
異変を
expression
発
for
現させる
special
ための
event
具体
variations.
的傾向
What were event variations? Kunosato-san clicked the mouse to move to the next page. I read along with her.
視覚刺激による発
Pathogenesis
症
via visual stimulation.
的中率
Accuracy rating
9.25%
9.25%.
中脳平面系ニ
Manifestation
ューロ
via
ンのド
induced
ーパミン
dopamine
分泌の
emission
誘
the
発によ
central
る発
limbic
現
system.
視床下部損
Damage
傷
and
と
removal
切
of
除
the hypothalamic area.
発症見られ
No
ず
pathogenesis seen.
思考のトレース
Thought tracing.
リ
Remote
モートビューイン
viewing.
グ
Influence on events
妄
via
想の増
amplified
幅による事象
delusions.
への影響
Over half the report was filled with specialized language that I didn't really understand. But by desperately connecting the words I did know, I managed to make some sense out of the report. And
まさか
there's no way
そんなことが
I was stunned. Was that really possible? The girl who'd cried to us for help was being experimented on here. And the point of those experiments was
人間の
to
脳をい
alter
じ
the
って
human brain
超常的な特殊能力を発症させる実験
And that explained why Shinjo-san and Kunosato-san were talking about psychics. And that the commonality that I suspected was lurking behind the murders.
おい、
Hey. Kunosato-san caught me looking and threatened me in a low voice. But I didn't have time to worry about that.
これ
Is
本
this
当なんで
true?
すか
It sounds like science
SF み
fiction.
たいなことが本当に
She looked unhappy, but gave in.
実験自
The
体は
experiments seemed to have been
随
going
分
on
と
for
前か
quite
ら
a
行わ
while,
れていたようだ。
actually. It's safe to assume that the entire point of this
この
hospital
病院
was to
自体は
camouflage those
その実
experiments.
験のカモフラージュのために建てられたと考えてもいい。
この病院が
This whole hospital?
ああ、
Yeah.
それで
What? Were they
あの
still...
今は
はあ
Huh?
今は
Are those
行われてるんで
experiments
す
still
か
going on?
その実験
If that's true, is she still here?
いや、
No.
あ
It
る出
looks
来
like
事
they
を
were
きっか
shut
けに
down
中
after
止
a
されたら
certain
しい。
event. A certain event?
中止された
And they
の
were
はちょ
shut
うど
down
6
6
年
years
前。
ago. On November 6th,
11
2009.
月6日。
それって
Isn't that
渋谷地
the
震
day
の
of the
日
Shibuya earthquake?
地震のせ
Did
い
the
で研究
earthquake
どころじ
cause
ゃ
too
なくな
much
った
damage for them to
の
continue
か
the research?
いいや違う
No,
な。
that's not right.
この病院
This
は
hospital
震
was
源
well
域
away
の外
from the
だ。
epicenter.
被害は全く
There's
受
no
けていない。
damage at all.
じゃあどうして
Then why?
だから、
That's
そ
what I'm
れを
here to
探って
find out. Kunosato-san stopped short and clipped her tongue. She must have decided that she told us too much.
いいからおと
Just
なし
take
くしていろ。
quiet. She pushed me away from the screen, lightly. Like she didn't want me to read anymore. Huh?
これは
What's this? Kunosato-san's hand froze on the mouse. She was staring intently at the screen. And then she started to talk to herself.
11
The
番目のロ
effect
ール
of
シ
the
ャッハが
11th
脳に与える影響。
I've already
11
forgot.
番目。
Rorschach. Yeah, I'm not gonna remember that. Rorschach. The effect of the 11th Rorschach on the brain. The 11th. She just knocked me away, so I couldn't see the screen, but I couldn't help but lean forward. Her voice is just that strange.
どうしたんですか？
What's wrong?
ロールシャッハテストには
There are only 10
10種類の意識が存
Rorschach
在しない。
tests. I've never heard
11
of
番
an
目なんて聞いた
11th.
ことも。
Shut up, you!
だから黙ってるお前。
Stop blaming him for the fact that you're a blabbermouth after you get asked a question. Kunosata-san turned around and glared at me. When she did, I caught a glimpse of the monitor. The screen was filled with thumbnails of the different Rorschach tests. And Kunosata-san was just about to click on this mysterious 11th Rorschach. Kunosata-san clicked to open the file. And when she did... What appeared on the screen was... the sumo sticker? I don't feel like committing to that right now. I had no idea what was going on. I felt sick. I couldn't stand. I collapsed to the floor. I felt like something was crawling up from the bottom of my intestines. That something was bugs. Tiny slimy bugs with lots of little feet were crawling up from my stomach into my throat, scattering disgusting fluids behind them as they moved. And the disgusting crawling sensation passed through my throat and out into my mouth. What the hell were these things? Stop it. Help me. I feel sick. Help me. Get out of my body.
たく
I don't like the way she said that.
たくしっかりしてよ
Step out of it,
た
Taku.
くってば
I don't like the way Sarika is talking. Huh? Did I fall asleep? No, that's not it. I looked at the screen and suddenly felt sick. And then passed out. Where am I? My head feels horribly cold.
なんだか気持ちが
It
いい
feels kinda cold. What? I just heard Sarika's voice. But I can't see her. Where am I?
ほら見て見て
Look, look.
しん
Look
ちゃ
at
んったら
Shin-chan.
あんな格好になってる
Ito is here?
私と
You and I are
タク
matching.
もお揃
Taku?
いだね
Matching? What is she talking about? When I looked to the side and saw it, my head cleared instantly. Sarika was next to me, lying in the same kind of seat I'd seen the girl in the vision sitting in. What was strange was her head. There was something on top of it, slimy and pink. No, that wasn't it. That was... That was her brain. The top of Sarika's skull was completely gone, with several electrodes sticking out of what remained. I suddenly heard a high-pitched voice from the other side. It took some time before I realized that the voice belonged to Ito. And that's how insane it sounded. That's certainly some sounds. I couldn't tell if Ito was screaming in pain or pleasure. His brain was exposed and part of it seemed to be missing.
Doesn't this feel good, Taku?
I tried to move, but I was held down tight and couldn't budge. Let me go! Let me go! Let me go!
動くな
Don't move. I heard a cold voice from above my head. The voice was...
今すぐお
I'll
前も
make you just like him now.
あいつの
So
よう
stay
にしてや
put.
るだからじっとしているがいい
Sukasa-tama, scream, you're right, you're right. Something cold touched my head. At least, that's how it felt. It felt good. Like my brain was going to melt. And soon I wasn't sure where I ended, and the rest of the world began. Where am I? Am I back in the basement?
トク
Taku,
大丈夫
are you okay? Yeah, I'm
大丈
alright.
夫だ。起きられるか？
Can you stand
Hold
up? Here. You just slowly helped me to my feet.
悪い。
Sorry.
僕、
What happened
どうしたん
to
だ？
me?
うん
The
画面
creepy
にね
sticker suddenly
例
appeared
の
on
怖
the
いシール
screen
が
and you
い
got
きなりアッ
scared.
プになったから
Then
び
you
っくり
tripped
した
and
んだ
hit
よ
your head.
それで転んでタクは頭を打っちゃって
I see. I rubbed the back of my head and sure enough, there was a big bump. Kunosato-san was staring at me in the front of the screen. I thought she was going to complain again, but instead, she pulled me up to look at the screen.
確かめてもらい
There's
たいこ
something
と
I
が
want
で
you
きた
to see. Come here.
来い
Oh,
あ
if
の
it's
シ
that
ールなら許
sticker,
してください。
I'd rather not.
なんか
I
気分
don't
が
feel
優れな
well.
くて。
いや
No,
あれじゃ
that's
ない
not it. Just come
いいから
here.
来い
First you want
なっ
me
て
to
言っ
not
たり見
look,
ろって言
then
っ
you
たり。
want me to look.
なんだ
What?
わかりましたよ。
Fine. Since it was clear that she wasn't going to take no for an answer, I stood next to her.
お前に確認
This
し
is
て
the
ほしいの
file I
は
want you to look
こ
at.
のファイルだ
Konosato-san tapped the report of the screen with her nails.
11番目
It
の
says
ロー
the
ル
11th road shot,
さっきの画像に
or
何らかの
whatever,
効果があるとみなされて
that image you just saw, was found
初
to
めて
have
実
some
験
kind
に
of
使用された
effect.
のが
Was first used in an
2007
experiment
年
in 2007. 2007 was 2 years before the Shibuya earthquake. And that was right about the time people started to see the sumo stickers, if I remembered right. And that was the same year we'd snuck in here to find out the truth about the urban legend of Ami-chan. I took the mouse and read the next part.
事象
It
変異を
was
起
found
こす
that
素
those
養を
with
持
the
つ存
potential
在
to
のみ
cause
が
event
人の
variations
顔を模し
is
たように
spotted
見える
differently to
11
the
番目の画像
11th
に対し
roar.
通常の人間とは異なる反応を示すそのことが判明した。
Rorschach. I'm just gonna pin that. It was found that those with the potential to cause event variations responded differently to the 11th Rorschach than other subjects.
この症状が
This
最初に
phenomenon
観
was
測さ
first
れたのは
observed in subject number
被験体
79,
番号第79号
Minamisa.
南沢千里からであり
Yeah, what he said. And then I stopped scrolling down the screen. There's a picture of a girl there.
どうだ
Well,
その
Do
子
you
に
know
見
this
覚えが
girl?
あるか
Taku, this squirrel.
あ
And this girl is the girl that's in Nono's contacts. Remember her? That was the girl. That was the girl we saw that day. Save me. That was the girl who also saw us and begged for help. Kunosato-san looked at me.
さっき話
This
してい
is the
た
friend you were saying might
こ
be
の施
kept
設にい
here,
たかもしれ
right?
ない友達というのはこの子なんだな
あ
Yes. I wasn't sure how to answer, but decided to keep up the lie that she was my friend. And the truth was, I had only just now learned that her name was Minamisawa Senri. I see.
そうか
Makuno Sato-san looked very sad. I didn't know she was even capable of looking that way. She stared at the picture of Minamisawa Senri on the screen.
私は
I don't like you,
お前のこ
but
と
I'm
を
willing to
嫌い
show
だな
respect for the fact that you've never
ここ
forgotten
で
your
苦
friend
しん
who
でいた
suffered
友達を
here.
ずっと忘れないでいることには敬意を払ってもいい
Huh? Her eyes grew just a little softer. But I felt a cold sweat as I looked at them. No. It wasn't out of friendship that I'd never been able to forget the girl named Minamisawa Senri. It was because she was in my nightmares. But I couldn't say that. All I could do was try and make it hard to tell what I was really thinking.
本当は救いたかっ
And
た
you
のに
wanted to save her,
そ
but
れ
you
ができな
couldn't.
かった
Well, that's not your fault.
でも
You don't need to blame
それは
yourself.
仕方のないことだ気に病むことはない
That's not it. That's not what happened. I had been too afraid to save her, and I had abandoned her.
今
I wonder
彼女は
what she's
どうしてい
doing
るんだろ
now.
う
Kunosato-san didn't realize what I was thinking, though. She called up more data on the girl called Minamisawa Senri.
彼女は
Since she showed special
11番目
symptoms
の
in
画像で
response to the
特殊な
11th
兆候を
image,
見せた被
she
験
was
者
the
として
subject of rather
か
forceful
なり強引な実
experiments,
験を受けていた
but
よ
she
うだ
survived.
でも死ぬことなく生き延びた
Forceful experiments? The kind that could kill you? When I heard that, I almost threw up. I did my best to keep Kunosato-san from finding out.
だが
However,
渋谷地
she
震の
was
時に
unlucky
運
enough
悪く
to be
震
close
源
to the
域に居合わせ
epicenter of
て
the Shibuya earthquake,
それ以降は
and ever
行
since
方不
then,
明という
she's
こと
been
になっている
missing.
な
行方不明
Missing?
いや
To be more
正
precise,
確には
this whole facility was
この
shut
実
down
験施設
immediately
が
after the
地
earthquake,
震の直後に
so
機
there's
能
no
を
more
終えてし
data
まった
on
ため
her.
彼
But
女
there's a
に
good
関する
chance
デ
that
ー
she
タが
didn't
存在し
survive
ない
it.
というのが正しいただ地震の犠牲になった可能性は高いな
そう
I see.
ですか
It was horrible, but I felt a little less like throwing up. At the very least, she hadn't died because of the experiments, or because we'd abandoned her. Hearing that made me feel like I'd been forgiven a little. A violent sense of self-hatred overcame me again.
ごめん
I'm sorry,
南さん
Minami-sawa, Senmi-sama. She'd been practically tortured here as part of those experiments, and then been caught in the earthquake. But despite this, you feel like Senri is going to be important later. Oh, she definitely is, 100%. Suddenly, I felt something tugging at the edge of my memories.
南沢さん
Haven't I heard that name somewhere before? But then, where? From who?
あれ
Huh?
でも
But before I could think about it any further, Ida spoke up hesitantly.
なんだ
What?
この実験
You
施
said that
設
this facility was
機
shut
能を終
down,
えたって
but
お
that
かしいで
doesn't
すよ
make sense.
その割
Well,
に
there are still
あちこ
people
ちに
here.
人がいました
We
よ
saw
ね
them.
それに
Now there's also that little
小さな
girl.
女の子も
Yeah,
そうだ
you're
よね
right.
俺たち
We
その
followed
女の
that
子を追
little
ってこ
girl
こへ
down
来たんで
here.
す
Where this
ここ
place
が
was
配置され
abandoned.
た施設っ
What's
て
she
いうなら
doing here?
あの子一体何を
ああ
Wow.
そのことか
Kunosata-san closed the file on Minami-sawa's Senri, and her face took on its usual cool, emotionless expression.
ここは
And
今
this place is now being
実
used
験
as
中
an
にトラブル
institution
の
to
あった
house
被験者たち
subjects
の
who encountered
保護施設
trouble
として
during
使
their
われている
experiments.
実験中にトラブルのあった被
During
験者
their experiments.
実験に失
It's an
敗して脳
underground
に損
prison
傷
for
を負った
patients
り
whose brains were
正
damaged
気
in
を
failed
失った患者
experiments,
を
or who simply went
程度によ
insane.
って軟禁
Some are kept
もしく
locked
は
in
監禁
cells,
してお
and
くた
some
めの
aren't.
地下収容所ということだ
A cold chill ran through my body. You may pass, you may pass.
まさか
You can't mean
そんなこ
that's
とって
not.
ありえね
That's impossible.
ひどい
That's horrible.
目的のためなら
And these people are
どん
willing
な
to
こと
do
でもやる
anything
連
to
中がい
achieve
る
their goals.
お前
These
た
are
ち
the
が
kinds
相手
of
にして
people
いる
you're
の
up
は
against.
そういう連
That's
中
why I
なんだ
warned you at the start.
だから最初に警告してやったろ
Kunosata-san opened another file.
これで見る限
According
り
to this, there are
現
still
在でも
around
20
20
名
people
近くの
being
人間
kept
が
here.
ここにいるようだな
She scrolled down the page and a new picture appeared.
あ
No,
ま
no,
待って
wait,
ください
that
その
girl.
子
That was the girl we'd been following.
間違いないよ
That's gotta be her,
タク
Taku.
名前は
Her name is
山沢
Yamazawa
うきちゃん
Uki-chan. Attending Dr. Donose.
この
It
子も
looks like she was
元々
originally a test
実
subject for
験
the
に使われた被
experiments
験者だったよ
too.
うだな
Yuki Daisuke? Huh? And the shattering revelation was presented to us as a mere matter of fact, as if that was the most ordinary thing imaginable. Sarika covered her mouth with her hand and her eyes went wide. So, she suffered the same fate as Minami-sawa Senri? Unfortunately,
彼女は
she
最後
managed
ま
to
で
survive
正気
the
を失うこと
experiments
な
to
く
the
実
end
験に
without
耐
going
え生き
insane.
残った
And now, she's been given
今
the
は
job
この
of
フロアで
caring for the patients
収
on
容
this
者たち
floor.
の世話をする仕事を与えられているらしい
収容者
Caring
たち
for
の
the
世話
patients. I thought she was a criminal who'd stolen my smartphone and threatened me. And what's more, I thought that she was either connected to the killer, or that maybe she was the killer herself. but now I'm not so sure.
いやダメ
No,
だ
stop.
見かけ
Don't let
たちに
yourself be
騙され
fooled
ちゃ
by her looks or
ダメ
her past.
だあの状
In
況だ
that
と
situation,
僕のスマホ
she
を
was the only
拾えたの
one
は
who
彼
could
女
have
だ
picked
け
up
だ
my phone. And if she was the test
ここ
subject
での
here,
事件の被験者
she
と
might
いう
have
こと
some
は
kind of
何らかの
power too.
その能力者の可能性だってある解約した
You
はず
need
のスマ
something
ホから
like that
電話
if
し
you
てくれ
wanted
ば
to
で
make
き
a
ると
call from a cancelled
そういう能力でも
smartphone.
ない限り不可能じゃないか
As my mind raced, Kunosato-san was checking out every bit of data on the machine. But
実験の
the
結果
results of the experiments showed that only 0.01%
全
of
被験者
subjects
の
were able to
0.01%
manifest a
に
D
も満
sword.
たず
The
失敗と断
experiments were
定
judged as a failure, or
別の
were
技術を
judged a
模索す
failure,
べきと
and
決
it
断
was decided that another course should be pursued.
やっぱり
I
か
knew it.
バカな
This
科学
idiot
者どもが
scientist. Kunosato-san sounded uncharacteristically ticked off as she closed all the folders and turned off the PC.
ディソード
D sword. That strange word snapped me out of my reverie. It seemed like that's what she was. It seemed like that was what she had been looking for. I looked at her, hoping for some kind of answer, but she just glared back at me with terrifying eyes.
そろそろ時間
Time's
的
up.
に限界だ
We're leaving.
出るぞ
Huh?
これ以上こ
If
こ
we
に
stay
いれ
here
ば
any longer,
発見さ
they'll
れる
find us.
でも
But we still haven't
僕た
found
ちの
what
目
we're
的が
here
まだ
for.
お前た
Your
ちの
plan
計
was
画が
terrible
ず
to
さんすぎ
begin
る
with. You don't even know the
この施設内
layout
構
of
造すら
this
知らないの
facility,
だ
do you? She was right. I had snuck in here as a child, but that was all. I didn't remember the details.
そ
And
んな
there's
こと
no
で
point
は
in even looking.
探したところで無駄だ
Damn it, she's right, but there must be some way. I looked around the room and saw the rows of monitors. If they were on, they could at least tell us what was going on around the facility. Maybe they could tell us where Yamazawa Yuki was.
どうした宮代
What's wrong, Miyashiro?
このモニター
I'm
の
looking
電
for
源
the
がない
power
か探
source
し
for
てるん
these
だよ
monitors.
こいつ
If
が
I could
使え
turn
れ
them
ば
on,
あるい
then
は
maybe
無駄だ
it's useless.
そも
We
そ
don't
も
even know if the
So no監視システム
observation
自体
system is
動
even
いているのかも
functional. Suddenly, the room was bathed in pale light. All of the monitors on the wall turned on. All we could do was gasp. What we thought were security camera monitors were now showing. Hundreds of sumo stickers. I was so shocked that I almost screamed. Taku, is this? Inside of the monitors on the wall, it was face after sumo sticker face all looking at me. What was this? What was going on? Where am I?
おいおい
Hey, don't fall
勝手に
asleep.
寝るんじゃない
Kunosato-san. Huh? I was back in the chair. Was this a dream? Which was the dream? Was I dreaming of being in this chair, or had I been dreaming of being in the monitoring room? My head felt really cold. Oh, that's right. She opened my skull.
お前は
You
な
got a
かな
nice
かいい
brain,
脳みそ
huh?
をしているな
Do I?
ピンク色で
It's all
シワ
pink
が
and
多くて
wrinkly. It looks
とても美味し
delicious.
そうだ
それは
Should I be happy
喜んでい
about
い
that?
んですか
も
Of
ちろんだ
course. Now
さて
then, it's time
そ
for
れじゃあそろそろ
dinner.
いただくとするか
Kunosata-san grinned with glee and took something metallic out of her pocket. A spoon.
人間の脳
The
は
human brain tastes
こ
best
うし
when
て
you
生き
eat
た
it
ま
while
ま
it's
食べる
still
のがうま
alive.
いんだ。
Huh. Who knew? Buddy.
では
Okay.
失礼して
Here I go. POV, your brain's getting eaten. She was eating it. Kunosata-san was eating my brain. Oh man.
ダメだ
I can't
止まらない
stop. I never thought that would feel so good. And someone ate my brain. Listen, you know delusions are freaky, but what the fuck? Capital F fuck. Yeah, that's fair. Hump. I heard a firm hump in there. More. Eat more. Eat me, buddy. The line delivery. And again, I had another weird delusion. And I quickly shook my head and slapped my cheeks to snap myself out of it.
うーん
Ugh,
なんか
I
やだ
don't like these.
気色
I
悪
feel
い
sick. And Sarika and Ito looked unhappy. It's because of the sumo stickers displayed on the monitors. I looked at the monitors once more, trying my best to avoid the sumo stickers. Is that the inside of this hospital? Good on them for not making it painful. The brain itself can't sense pain, but you don't think you'd be able to feel that either. I mean, it's a silly little delusion. Like, they would require a Takaru to know whether or not it would be actually painful or not. And I don't think he's aware of that. Some of the monitors were showing the inside of the hospital, but some were looking somewhere else. The street corners in Shibuya, signs under bridges, alleyways, overpasses, train station cases, store walls. And then I realized. All of the monitors with sumo stickers are from security cameras outside the hospital. And I even recognized some of them. That was the spot where Kurisu had been attacked. And of course, there were sumo stickers there.
なるほどな
I see. So they've been
探してい
searching.
たということか
Searching.
さっきのファイル
I
に
remember
書い
what
てあっ
that
たな
file said. People capable of causing special event to
11番目の
People
この画
capable
像
of
に反応
causing
を
special
示すと
event variations react strongly to the 11th image. Konosato-san pointed to a corner of one of the monitors and quickly looked away before I got a direct look at the sumo sticker. In other words, whoever was using this place to put up the 11th Rorschach image all over Shibuya and used these images to find people who reacted to it. Why did I say reenact? That's quite the wrong word. And then they took them here and performed those horrible experiments on them. And I remembered what I'd seen happen to me and Misawa Senri and felt like I was going to throw up again. And then Kunosato-san made a sharp noise. And she put her hand on one of the monitors to brush away the dust, then stared at it. It showed something moving around a dark room. And there was no sumo sticker there. And there wasn't an image of Shibuya nor of the hospital above, so it's probably showing one of the rooms down here. That girl! It was definitely the girl. On the screen. She was saying something to an old person lying on a bed and gently wrapping belts around their arms and legs. Hurry. It's almost time for security to come by. The girl was my only clue as to where my smartphone was, which meant that we had to find the room on the monitor. Konosato-san suddenly told me that she knew where that she knew where it was. She'd been so uncooperative so far, so I had no idea why she suddenly decided to help. But when she saw the girl, she suddenly said that she'd go with us. And of course, I knew her well enough by now. She wasn't trying to help us. She'd simply taken an interest in that girl. At least that was how I saw it. As we moved down the dim hallway, the temperature dropped and the humidity went up. This is it. She stopped in front of a door with strange words on the plate. Confinement room 3. Konosato-san opened the door a little, taking care to make as little noise as possible. I peeked inside. And there I saw a world that I'd only ever seen in movies. And there were rows of beds in the room. And there were what appeared to be prisoners lying on them. They were all different ages and sexes. Some were old and some seemed young. And one of them I recognized. It was the old lady the girl had been walking with before. T1398571798357. I'm glad the dialogue box is saying a man, because I would not have guessed that was a man. Some were screaming, some were counting numbers endlessly. One was a girl who was endlessly chewing her food. It seemed unreal. I remember the woman with the baby carriage I'd passed before and felt cold sweat forming on my palms. This is severe OCSD, overeating, and chewing and spitting caused by damage to the hypothalamic area. Hemispatial neglect caused by damage to the cerebral hemisphere. All of them have had their brains messed with. So, everyone here. And they can't be easily disposed of, so they're being kept here. For a moment, the tone of her voice changed. I felt like there was a pale flame burning somewhere deep within her voice. It was a pale flame of rage, which seemed cold at first glance, but was actually incredibly hot. Sarika tugged at my sleeve and whispered. She pointed at a bed in the back with her other hand. I could see something moving past what looked like a curtain. That went on a lot longer than what the dialogue box would have implied.
ごめんなさい。
I'm
ちょっ
sorry.
と窮
It's
屈
a
だ
little
けど我
cramped,
慢して
but
くだ
please
さい。
endure it.
起きた
When
ら
you
ま
wake
たお
up,
散歩
we
に
can
行き
go
ま
for
しょう
another
ね。
walk, okay? Oh, yes.
今
I'm
行きます。
coming. Just
待っ
wait.
ててください。
Someone appeared from behind the curtain. Tiny. And that's her. Oh, that's the girl. Girl in the file. Yamazawa Yuki. Didn't seem to notice us. She moved around from one patient to another, doing her best to take care of them.
よかった。
Good.
彼
She's
女
still
はまだちゃ
sane.
んと正気を保ってるようだ。
I could hear Kunosato-san whisper.
彼
How
女
do I
が
get my
どう
phone
やって
back
スマホ
from
を返
her?
してもらえばいいでしょ
I
う。
don't know if she'll listen to me
説
if I
得とか
ask
しても
for it.
聞いてくれる
If
か
she
どう
sets
か。
off an alarm.
むしろ警報でも鳴らされたら。
私はあの
I'm
子をこ
getting
こ
her
から
out
連
of
れ出
here.
す。
Once she's
スマホ
out,
の
you
話
can
なんて
ask
言
her
うのは
whatever you want
その
about
後
your
でいくらで
phone.
も聞け。
Huh? It took me a moment to realize what she was saying. Yeah, that's fair. But by the time that I did, she flung open the door to the room and leapt inside. Yamazawa Yuki's eyes went wide at this sudden intruder. Konosato-san grabbed her hand.
Who are you?
All the patients started to scream, afraid of the sudden commotion.
Everyone, please come down. It's alright.
Yamazawa looked around the room and tried her best to calm the people there, even as Kusanada-san held onto her arm.
いいから来い。
Just come with me.
警備に気づかれる。
Security will find us.
Hey,
Hurry up.
Who are you? What's going on?
お前をこ
I'm
こから
getting
解
you
放
out
し
of
てやる。
here.
No, don't. Please stop.
A girl named Yamazawa Yuki went pale and tried to free herself from Kunosato-san's grip. She was completely in a panic. Kunosato-san must have decided there was nothing to be gained by talking, because she quickly moved around behind her and put her arm on the girl's carotid artery. And then she applied a very light pressure. Yamazawa Yuki moaned for just an instant, and then she slumped backward into Kunosato-san's arms. Girly pop. Ever heard of consent? She seemed to have passed out.
おい、
Hey.
はい。
Yes.
タイムリミット。
Time's up.
はぐれた
Get
ら置いてい
separated
く。
from me and I leave you
あとは知らん。
behind. I don't care what happens to you after that.
ここの連中みたい
If
に
you
なりた
don't
く
want
な
to
けれ
end
ば
up like these
ついて
guys,
こい。
follow me. She put the unconscious girl on her back and then ran outside the room without bothering to wait for us. I was stunned at her speed, but there was no time to hesitate. Not away. Ito! I motioned to Serika and Ito and ran out into the hallway. We followed after Kunosato-san as fast as we could. Just like she said, if we got lost here, we'd be caught for sure, and who knew what would happen to us then. I didn't know who was doing these experiments or why. Their victims were suffering horrible fates. As I ran, it felt as if their screams of rage were following me. I can't go on anymore. I
走れね
can't move. We followed Kunosata-san as fast as we could and made it outside of the hospital via a different route than before. Kunosata-san was sweating like a racehorse, and her breathing was heavy, but she never let her guard down for a second. Instead, she seemed to be looking around intently. We were at the back of the hospital. This seemed like the exit where they moved corpses from the morgue to the hearse. For that reason, there was a fence surrounding us that kept us hidden. Kunosata-san had evidently taken this fence into account in her escape plans from the start.
What do we do
ど
now?
うするんですか？
I was too out of breath to speak, so Serika spoke for me.
地下施設
The
は
underground facility is probably in uproar by now. Let's search this area soon. If you don't want to die, move.
足を動か
Let's
せ
go.
行くぞ
I mean, I think death is a little dramatic. Like, in trouble for sure, but death? I don't know, man. You're not in America. You're not going to get shot down. We were almost at the rear gate to the hospital. She started to run toward it. We followed her with the last of our strength. And there was a guard stationed there, but instead there were only 2 men, who were asleep, with their heads pointed toward the ceiling.
それほど長い
The
危険
sleeping
な
drug I
薬は
used
使って
doesn't
ない
last that long.
急
If
がな
you
いと
don't
目を
hurry,
覚ま
they'll
せ
wake up. Girly pop, hello? I frantically made my way through the guard station and finally got past the hospital's outer walls. We ran a little longer and found a van parked in its secluded spot.
何よ、みおちゃん。
What's going on,
随分賑やかじゃな
Mia-chan?
い？
Looks like you've got a crowd with you. A broad-shouldered woman looked up at us from the driver's seat. It was hard to tell how old she was. Her attitude and mannerisms made her seem like an older person, but the mischievous grin on her face made her seem younger.
で、
So,
必要なこ
did
と
you
はつか
find
め
what we
た？
needed?
ええ
Yes.
あれだけ
Even
の
after
犠牲
those
者を出し
victims
な
they
がら
created,
例の実験
after
で
all
は
those
結
victims they
局
created, rather,
理論を
the
完成さ
experiments
せること
failed
がで
to
きなかった
complete
よう
the
です
theory.
そう。
I see.
理想度の
They
発
found
電
a
に確
reliable
実
way
性
to
はな
cause
く
the D sorts to
ギガロマ
manifest,
ニアックス
so the
実験は失
Gigalomaniac
敗だった
experiments were deemed a failure.
まあ、
Well,
予想した通り。
that's just what we suspected.
気がろう。
Gigolo. What? And what exactly is a D sword? Didn't she say something about that in the monitoring room?
ただ
I did find a
重
valuable
要な
source
情
of
報源を見つ
information,
けまし
though.
た
Kunosata-san opened the rear door and laid to Yamazawa Yuki on the back seat.
その子が
Her.
多分
She seems to be a
実験の生
survivor
き
of
残
the
り方
experiments.
保
I
護
want to take her with us.
え、それは
That's... well, whatever.
まあいいわ。
She can stay with us
し
for
ば
a
らくうちで
while.
預かっとく。
頼みます
Thanks. Kunosata-san hadn't even dropped her attitude for Detective Shinjo-san, but now she was being polite. Just who was this woman?
で、
And
そっち
who
の子
are
たち
these
は？
people?
お
Your
友達
friends?
じゃ
No,
ないわ
of
よ
course
ね。
not.
こっち
I'll
は使え
decide
るか
later
どう
if they're
か
good for anything.
後ほど判断
If
し
you
ま
can
す
just take them to my place.
私の家まで送っていただければ
She seemed to be referring to us. But what does she mean by good? She was as arrogant as ever, and like usual, she was pissing me off.
了解。
Roger.
とにかくみんな乗り
Everyone,
なさい。
get in. Hurry. Her voice got a little sharper as she pointed to the middle seat in the back of the van. We could hear what sounded like a lot of yelling come from the direction of the hospital. We quickly jumped inside and closed the door. Kunosata-san got in the front passenger seat. The van started up quietly and headed off into the night.
ここだ。
This is it.
入れ。
Come in.
Oh.
何をバサッとして
Why are
いる。
you staring?
さっ
Get
さとし
moving.
ろ。
お邪魔します
Excuse me.
人の家の
It's not
中。
nice to stare at
じろ
people's
じろ不遠慮に
homes.
見るものじゃない。
家って
Home?
もしかして
Is this
ここが
your...
久野里さんの。
そうだ。
That's right. Is
何
there
か
a
問題でもあ
problem?
るのか。
いや
It's just...
だって
I mean... And outside wasn't much better, but looking inside, it was hard to believe that there was still apartments this dumpy in Shibuya. And the same was true of everything else in the room. Everything in the apartment was the cheapest kind you could buy. And the only thing that was worth anything was the computer.
Eh?
Huh?
どうした宮下
Was it Miyashi? What? I pushed Ito out of the way and ran over to the computer. The monitor was still on. And the page there was the one I'd seen many times. Shibuya News. And it was the display version of the page that we'd seen so many times. And the page was in the process of being edited.
嘘
No way. Are
もし
you
かして
Kei-san?
ケイさん
So that was it. I thought I'd heard her voice somewhere before. Her voice was just too different from the gentle Kei-san that we were so used to hearing. But that voice was, without a doubt, Kei-san's. What? No way. Seriously? You mean you're Kei-san? From Shibuya News?
渋谷ニュースの
Ito was clearly pretty excited too. Of course he was. Kei-san was someone we both admired. And she was the ultimate right-sider. Since even I admitted it, that meant she had to be at the top of her class. I never thought I'd be able to meet her like this, though. But I can't say I never imagined Kei-san having a weird personality like this. Kunosato-san, a girl who had been insulting us the whole evening, was the same person as the gentle Kei-san that we knew from Shibuya News. Which was the real one, I didn't know. Now I had Kei-san brought us to her room. I thought I remembered her saying she'd decide if she could use this later. Oh boy! Delusion time, but we get to pick. I looked over and saw something strange in the corner of the room. The only assumption I could make when I laid eyes on it is that it was a sword. It looks like a D sword to me. But I wasn't sure if most people who saw it would think that. Its design was complicated and, frankly, unrealistic. For some reason, looking at it made me feel uneasy. It made me feel really bad, actually. What was that? If someone told me it was for cosplay, I'd probably believe them. Fair. If nothing else, it didn't match the image I had of the person in front of me. Not the Kei-san I knew from Shibuya News. Or the Kusanada-san or the Kunosato-san who'd been cursing me out the whole night. Did she maybe have a third identity? Maybe she was a famous cosplayer. Or maybe she was a toy artisan who made life-size weapons. Maybe she was an otaku who collected swords like this. Either way, it felt like a bad idea to mention it. I must just ignore it. I must have pretend I never saw it.
Miyashiro.
Oh boy.
その件が
Are
気
you
になる
interested
の
in
か
that sword? Kunosato-san brought it up, even though I was trying my hardest to ignore it.
いや
No,
別
not
に
really. I try my best to laugh and avoid looking at it. Like, come on, don't make me talk about this with you. I just knew it was going to end badly. But Kunosato-san took out the blade with a calm look on her face. She swung it around and assumed a fighting stance. Her moves were graceful and beautiful. For a moment, I fell in love. And the sword was the perfect weapon for her. I didn't know why I felt that way, but that's how it seemed. She swung the sword right before my eyes. I could hear the sound of it cutting through the wind. No. I could see some of my bangs falling to the ground. It was incredibly sharp. If it touched me, it would slice me in half. It would tear me apart. I gulped.
お前たち
I
は
brought you here.
お前を
I
ここ
brought
に
you
連
here
れてき
for
た
a
のは
reason.
他でもね口封じ
To
のた
keep
め
you
だ
from talking.
私は
I'm Kunosato Mio,
内閣特
a
殊調
super
査
agent
室の
working
ス
with
ー
the
パーエージェン
Japanese
ト
Cabinet's Special
Kunosato
Investigation
Mio.
Team.
コ
My
ードネー
code
ム
name
は
is Azure
青の剣士
Swordsman.
お前は今
You've learned too much
渋谷
about
で進
this
行中の
secret
極秘
project
プロジェ
going
クト
on
に
in
ついて
Shibuya
知って
right
しまっ
now.
たゆえに
Therefore,
生
I
かして
cannot
は
let
お
you
けないん
live.
だ許せ
Forgive me. Huh? Kunosato-san took a step forward, moving as if she was about to begin a dance. It only took an instant.
あ、タクあれ、私
Me? A spurt of blood burst from Serika's chest and she fell over.
ああおのえ
What just happened? I hadn't even seen Kunosato-san swing her sword.
全員
None of you will be allowed to
生かしては
leave
返
here
さん
alive.
呪うなら
Don't blame me.
自分の
blame your
運命を
fate.
呪え
No,
やめろ
don't do it.
やめてくれ
Nito screamed and fell, blood pouring from his chest. And I still couldn't see it. The sword moved so fast. This was the power of the super agent, the Azure Swordsman. Kunosato-san turned toward me. I only had a few seconds left to live, but for some reason, she held the blade that killed Serika and Ito. Kunosato-san seemed so beautiful.
お前が見て
The
いる
scenery
景
your eyes perceive isn't
本物で
real.
はない世界は
This entire world is an error.
エラーだ
And those are the last things that Kunosato-san said to me. Then everything went black. Maybe it was because of some small mercy of hers that I didn't feel any pain. Huh? Wait, what? You are in your last year of high school. What the hell are you thinking? Sure, any Japanese boy who grew up on manga could fantasize about something like that, but it was all tropes and cliches. If it had gone and launched in a magazine, it would have been cancelled after 10 weeks. I blame that sword that's just sitting there in the corner. Any boy who sees that sword will remember his dark past. Anyway, this is no time to be thinking about that sword.
ケイさん俺
Kei-san,
マジファン
I'm
なんす
seriously a fan of yours.
声聞いてる
Just
だけで
listening to your
超
voice
癒
makes
され
me
るっつう
feel
か
better.
そんな
I
こと
don't
はどうでもいい
As I sat there fantasizing, Kunosato-san was tearing apart Ito's hopes and dreams. He was having a bad time.
それより
More
お前
importantly, you. What? Huh?
お前
You.
だ宮
Miyashita
下拓郎
Takuru. Stop acting so
聞き返すな
bewildered all the time.
はい
Right. What is
なん
it?
でしょう。
Crap, she's really scary. Is the case when I loved only an image I created for myself? I mean... And is this girl who she really is? Konosata-san stood by the wall and glared at me, oblivious to how I felt.
お前は
What
何の
is your
能力者
power?
だ
は
It was so sudden. And that I didn't know what I'd been asked. Power? Who, me?
さっき
I
言った
told you before, right?
あの地
That
下施設は
facility was heavily
今
guarded.
厳重に
It
封鎖さ
wasn't
れ
the
て
kind
いる
of place an amateur could get inside
ど
that
素人は
easily.
そんな簡単に入り込めるような場所じゃない
I just got
たまたまですよ
lucky.
なん
A
か
lot of
偶然とか
coincidence
重なって
happened.
うまく
That's how
入
I
れた
got
だけです
inside.
隠すな
Don't try to hide it.
お前
You
は
used your power to
それを
do
能
it.
力でやってのけたんだ
だから違
You're
い
wrong.
ます。
監視モニ
It's
ター
the
がい
same
きなり
thing
起動
with
した
the
のだっ
way
て
the
そうだ
observation monitors turned on. What is she talking about? I don't have any kind of power. And hey, Kei-san, I respected you. So try not to disappoint me so much.
大体
What evidence do you even have for that anyway?
地下施設にお
When
前
I
た
saw
ち
you
が
down
潜入
there,
しているのを
I
見つけ
figured
た
that
と思
either
う
you or he had to be a psychic.
お前かそっちの彼かどちらかが能力者じゃないかと疑った
Kunosata-san pointed at me and Ito in turn.
俺
Me
も
too?
か
あ
Yeah. But you didn't show
Nah.
any signs of a
あお前の
response
方
after
はその
that.
後
So I
何の反
eliminated
応も
you.
示さなかったからな除外した
反応
Response?
11
When
番
you
目
saw
の
the
ロールシャッ
11th
ハ画像を見た時の反応
Rorschach.
Dayo.
Yeah, that's not intuitive at all, man. Kunosata-san's deep, dark eyes were peering into me.
だが宮
But
下
Miyashita Takaru, when you saw
あの
that
画像を
image,
見た時
you reacted violently.
お前は激しく動揺した
いやだ
Well,
って
I
あん
mean,
な
that
気色悪い絵
was
で
just
すよ
really creepy, you know?
当たり
So,
前じゃ
so
ないで
of
すか
course I did.
お前のは
The way you reacted was
そうい
different.
う反応とは
How
全
did you
く
feel
違
when
う
you saw it? Tell me.
あの画像を見た時にどう感じた思い出してみろ
Ugh. The feeling I'd experienced when I'd seen the sumo sticker image came back to me. And when I looked at it, all the hairs on my body stood on end, and I was attacked by nightmarish delusions from which there was no escape. I was so scary that I couldn't help but look away from it.
じゃあ
Alright,
身の
let's
潔
look
白を
at
証
it
明
again
す
to
るため
prove
に
your innocence.
もう一度見てみるかあの画像を
Kunosata-san turned toward her computer and opened up a file. She watched my face carefully as she moved to click on an image inside the folder.
嫌です
No,
やめ
please
てくださ
stop.
い
I slowly sank to the floor and sat down, sweat pouring from my body. I looked away from the computer. I didn't have the courage to look at that image again.
いい加減にして
Cut it out! Sadika interrupted with a yell. It was the first time in ages that I'd heard her yell. I looked up to see her standing between me and Kunosata-san with her hands on her hips.
一体
What the heck do you think you're doing? Are you seriously calling Taku a psychic like this is an anime or something? You're crazy.
どうかしてますよ
何
Excuse me?
尾上
タクは
And Taku's seen those stickers at places where people have been killed, so of course they make him sick.
気持ちが悪くなるの当たり前じゃないですか私だって
When I remember what happened at the Love Hotel, I feel like throwing up too.
ありますけどそ
If something that stupid is your proof, that makes me a psychic too, doesn't
超
it?
能力があるってことになりますよね。
I mean,
いや、
no.
お前
You're
は
not
違
a
う。
psychic.
Oh yeah? And why not?
Sariko pushed harder. Whenever she thought I was in trouble, she would sometimes turn into a completely different person. She would try to protect me in a different way than Kurisu. It made me happy and it made me feel better, but...
おのえ
Oh, no, wait.
その
Thank you.
ありがとう
But can you
けど
pull it
ち
for
ょ
a
っとだけ
little
抑え
bit?
てくれ
What? But
いいから
Just back off for a
本
bit.
当にサン
But
キュー
so, thanks. Really. There's no way I had any kind of psychic power. But I already suspected that powers like that were involved in this case somehow. So I wanted to hear what Kunosata-san had to say. Kunosata-san looked at me for a moment, questioningly, and then sighed. And she took out her phone and made a call. The person on the phone didn't seem very happy about it, but they eventually gave their approval. She nodded and hung up the phone, then spoke.
また出かけるぞ。
Really think again.
ま
No,
あ、
this time.
今度
You
は
won't be
命
in
の
any
危険はない
danger,
だ
so
ろ
don't worry.
う。安心するがいい。
Hmm.
こんな時
it's
間
awfully
によう
late for
来
you
た
to be
の。
visiting.
まだ
But
閉
still
店
time
時間
before
ま
we
では間が
close,
ある
so
よ。
enjoy yourself
ゆ
and
るり
relax.
と過ごしてゆくがよい。
Kunosata-san took me to Cafe Lax. We were taken to a big table by the window. Come to think of it, I'd been here not that long ago. Last time, it was to listen in on the conversation between Arimura Hinae and Shinjo-san. While I was thinking about that, the person Kunosata-san had called walked into the cafe. They seemed upset.
Huh?
Huh? When I looked up and saw who was there, I gasped.
こんな時
It's
間に
awfully
よ
late
う
for you
来た
to
の。
be
ゆる
visiting.
り
Enjoy
と過ご
yourself
してゆ
and
くがよい
relax.。
用が済ん
I'll
だ
be
らす
leaving
ぐ
as
に
soon as
帰り
I'm
ますか
done.
ら。
遅かったな。
You're late.
私にだって
Even
準
I
備
had to
くら
get
いあ
ready
る
to
んで
go
す。
places.
Arimura Hinae? That's the girl I was just thinking about.
あれ
Huh? It's
ひな
Hina-chan.
どうも。
Hello.
これって
So
ど
what's
う
going
いう
on
こと
here,
っすか
everyone?
ね、先輩方。
知らねえって
Don't ask
俺に
me.
聞かないでくれ
I don't know either. What's she inviting Arimura here for?
っていうか、
And you know,
久野里さん。
Kunosata-san,
便
I
利
told you
に
to
使っ
stop
て巻
dragging
き
me
込
into
むのは
things
や
just
めて
because
ほ
you
しい
think I'm
っ
a
て言い
useful
ましたよ
tool.
ね。
互いに
We
情報
offer
の
each
提
other
供をする。
information. That was the
そういう
deal.
約束だろ。
そっちばっ
And
か
yet I
り
never
私
get
を利用
shit
してる
from
くせ
you.
に。
いいから座
Just
れ
sit。down. Arimura sighed, glanced at us, and sat down with a frown on her face. There was an awkward moment after we ordered our drinks when no one spoke.
それで、
So,
何なんです
what's up?
Once our drinks arrived, Arimura, of course, was the first one to speak up.
口で説明
I
する
figured
より
it'd be
も
faster to show them
見
than
せた方
explain.
が早いと思ってな。
まさか
Did he tell them?
話したんです
He
か？
didn't.
利用価
I
値があり
decided
そう
they
だ
could
と
be
判断
worth
した。
using.
ほんと
Really?
勘弁
I
して
wish
ほ
he'd
しいん
cut
です
that
けど。
out.
From the way they were talking, Arimura must have known about those powers as well. And
つべこべ言わ
you
ず
just
に
stop
見せて。
whining and show them. Show them? Wait, she can't mean...
嫌ですよ。
No,
めんどく
it's a
さい。
pain on the butt.
宮代
I
拓が
want
能
proof
力
of
者
whether
か
or
どう
not
か。
Miyashita Takaru is a
Kakusho
psychic.
いや、
No,
だから
I
ですね。
told you. No, I'm
僕はそん
not.
な
間違い
He's
な
a
く
psychic.
能
No
力者
doubt
ですよ
about it. Amita spoke as if it was the most normal thing in the world.
有村。
おい
Hey,
本当
is
か
she right,
宮代
Mishiro?
信じら
I
れ
can't
ないよ
believe that.
だか
I
ら僕
told
は
you.
知
I
ら
don't
ない
know
っ
what
て
she's talking about.
ふーん
Hmm.
なるほどね
Looks
知
like
らな
it's
いと
true that
いう
he
のは
doesn't
本当
know.
みたいです
He has no
無自
idea.
覚なんですね
無自覚も
Just
何
how
も
would you
有
know,
村なんでそんな
Arimita?
こと言い切れるんだよ。
あれ
No?
思い当た
You
る
really have
節
no idea?
ありませんか
そ
Of
んなのあ
course
る
I
わけ。
don't. If I had that kind of power, I would have used it for something.
でも
When
自
you
分が
want
こうな
something
って
to
ほしい
happen,
と思ったと
something
ころで
special always
いつ
does.
も特別
Right?
なことが起きたりしたでしょ例えば
For example,
例の
when
ラ
you
ブホ
snuck
テルに
into the
先
love
輩が
hotel.
潜入した時あの時
The door to the room was
部屋
locked.
には確
So
か
how
に
did he
鍵
get
が
in,
かかっていたんですよなのに先輩はどうやって入ってきたんです
嘘
You're
だ。
lying. It
鍵は
wasn't
開いてた。
locked.
いいえ
No,
閉ま
it
ってま
was.
した
But then
け
suddenly,
どい
it
きなり
wasn't.
開いたんです
Am I wrong? Sari?
だよねセリ
Huh?
Sarika hesitated for a moment, then looked at me.
確かに
Yeah.
ガチャッ
I did hear a click.
尾上。
Anyway,
ほら
See? That's
それ
your
が
power,
宮代先輩
senpai.
の能力です
my power? No way.
おそらく
It's likely the
望
ability
ん
to
だよう
cause
に
things
物
to
体を
move.
動かす能力
It's usually called
いわゆる
telekinesis,
テレキネ
but
シ
its
ス
other name,
あるいは
psychokinesis,
サイコ
might
キ
be
ネ
more
シスか
fitting for you.
それを持っている病院の地
And
下
that's
施
how
設
you're
にあん
able
な
to
簡
get
単に
inside
侵
the
入できた
hospital
の
so
も
easily.
そのおかげだ
Are you
本当かよ。
serious? Ida was looking at me in shock.
いや、
No,
待
wait,
ってくれ。
that can't be
違
right.
う。
Sure, when I went into the psych ward in the underground lab, a lot of coincidences had happened all at once. Doors that would normally be locked weren't. And when I went down to the underground facility from the autopsy room, something got stuck and I was able to open the secret door. But
そんな
there's no
特
such
殊な
thing
能
as
力なんて
psychic powers.
本当にあるわけ。
でもさ
But Miyashiro,
宮
you
代
said
言ってた
yourself
よ
that they
な
might be the key to this
今回の事
case.
件の鍵かもしれないって
それは
I
そう
did
だ
say
けど。
that, but sure, I just said that a little, just the blah, blah, blah. Sure, I'd said that just a little while ago. But only after being told that I was a psychic and did I finally understand. I hadn't really genuinely believed it. When I'd said it out loud, I'd acted like it was some brilliant theory, but in my mind, I'd still been treating it like fiction. I mean, just thinking about it realistically, how could I have something so crazy?
先輩
Senpai,
今から言う質
I'm
問
about to
に
ask you some
全ていい
questions.
えで答
and I
え
need
て
you
く
to
ださい
answer them all with the word no.
は
Huh?
なん
What's
だよい
this
き
all
なり。
about?
いいから
Just do
答
it,
えてください
okay?
いいですね
は
Okay.
い。
I nodded, since it didn't seem like I was going to be given a chance to disagree.
自分のクラス
You
の人
think
間
everyone in your
は
class
バ
is
カ
an
ばっかり
idiot?
だと思っている
No.
いいえ。
でも
But you
本
wish
当
you
は
could
その輪
fit
の
in
中
with
に入り
them.
たいと思っている
いいえ。
No.
一人でカ
You
ラオ
gone to
ケに行ったこ
karaoke
とが
by
ある
yourself.
いいえ。
No.
一人でカ
You
ラオ
went
ケ
to
に行った
karaoke
け
by
れど
yourself,
一
but didn't
曲
sing
も
a
歌って
single
はいない
song.
いいえ。
No.
クルス先輩と
When
一
you're
緒に暮
living
らして
with
いた
Kurisu
時
senpai,
クルス
you
先
peeked
輩
in
のお
on
風呂
her
を
when
覗
she
い
was
ちゃったこ
taking a
とがある
bath.
いいえ。
No. The way their expressions are changing.
なるほど
I see.
わかり
I
ました
understand.
Arimita nodded and smiled.
わかったって
You understand
何
what
が
exactly?
まず最初の
Let's
質
start with the
問
first question.
宮
Miyashita
代先輩
senpai,
は
you really
みんな
do
バカ
think
ばっか
everyone
り
in
だ
your
と思っ
class
て
is
ま
an
す
idiot,
ね
don't you?
そんなこ
That's
と
not
は
true.
それから
Next,
次
despite that,
そうは言
you're
っても
lonely,
本
and
当
you
は
wish you
寂
could
しく
fit in with
て
them.
みんなの輪の中に入りたいとそう思ってます
No, I'm not interested in their unproductive conversations.
カラオケに
You
一
went to
人で行き
karaoke
ま
by
したね
yourself, didn't you?
Just to do research for the newspaper club. I didn't sing.
それは
That's
嘘
a
です
lie.
え
Huh?
本当は
You
歌いま
did
した
sing.
I did not.
一曲だけですか
Was it just one song?
I told you I didn't sing.
なるほど
I see.
一
So
曲
it's
だ
just
け
one
歌ったん
song,
ですね
おい
Hey,
宮代
Mishiro, is that
本当
true?
か
The captain's
お
listening
前
that
あ
you
れだけ歌って
didn't
ないって
sing,
否定してたよ
remember?
な
Arimita, how the hell do you know this stuff? It seems like it would be a waste not to, so I actually did sing one song.
最後にお風呂
Finally,
でクルス
Akirisu
先輩を
senpai was taking a bath.
Ah, enough! Stop it!
たく
Sarika pushed on her gutter froggy strap. It made a noise like the you lose buzzer on a game show. Is this a TV variety show or something? No, that was just Yuto playing a trick on me. He said nobody was inside, so I opened the door. I looked away quickly, so I didn't say anything. It's true. Do you have any idea what the hell I went through after that? Just remembering it terrifies me. Wait, no. What's this all about anyway?
わかりませんか
Can't you tell?
今の
That's
が
my power.
私の能力です
え
他人の口
I
に
can
した
tell
言
if
葉
what
が
someone once
嘘か
says
真
is
実
true or
かわかる
false. That's my
それが
power.
私の能力なんです
She can tell when someone's lying. And then I finally realized. The way Arimita had acted, and all the things she'd said.
言葉に出
Can you
し
say
て
that
も
out
らっ
loud
て
for
もい
me
いです
instead of just nodding?
Oh. Yeah, that makes sense. I understand now. Naruhodo. Was that what that was about?
彼女の言ってるこ
Is
と
what she's saying
本
true?
当かない
や
No.
ホッ
It
ト
could
リ
be
ーディン
hot
グや
reading
コールド
or
リーディングっ
cold
て可能性
reading.
もあるし
Yeah, she has an AI ball that can just conveniently check your temp. I interpret those literally has nothing to do with temperature. In fairness, it only came to mind because the Somnium Fuzz is like, oh, they're hot, they're lying. Anyways.
ホット
Hot
リーディング
reading?
つまり事前に
It's when you
調査
look
して
things up ahead of time.
後で自分で
Just
調
look
べ
it
ろ
up on your own later.
あ
Forget it.
あもういい
This is taking too
面倒
long.
だ
Kunosato-san looked annoyed and bored as she watched our conversation.
あれを見せて
Show it to him.
そ
That's
れ
the
が一番
fastest
早
way.
いあれ
Show
で
him?
すか
Here?
こんなところで多分
I don't think anyone but
Miyashiro
Miyashiro
以外には
will be
見えない
able
はずだ
to see it.
そうかもしれ
Maybe,
ません
but...
けど
Arimita looked toward the ground. Show me something? Wait, what is she going to show me? She nodded, reluctantly, and then suddenly stood up in front of me.
宮代先輩
何
What?
よく
Watch
見ててくだ
carefully.
さい
And then she lifted up her skirt. No, that's not what happened.
Oh.
What are you going to show me? I almost asked, but then I stopped. Suddenly, she stretched her right hand out to the side. She inhaled slowly, and then seemed to pull something out of the air. As I sat there, astonished, she pulled something impossible out of the empty air. It was warped yet elegant. That is so cool. I need one. Ugly yet fascinating. It was inorganic and organic at the same time. It was as if it contained every shape in the world. It was a... A sword? Man, that's so cool. I need one. Isn't this the same thing that Kunosato-san had at her apartment? The shape was different, but it had the same terrible feeling to it. But Arimita had just pulled it out of thin air. How did you do that? Arimita looked unhappy as she saw my shock.
やっぱり
So you actually
見える
can
んです
see you.
ね。
Huh? And what's she talking about, Taku?
剣ってなん
What
だ
do you
よ
mean, a sword?
見えないのか
You two can't see
二人
it?
とも
Sarika and Ito both shook their heads.
そんなバカ
That's impossible. It was huge. How could they not see it? I quickly looked around the room. But no one else, not the customers or other employees, was looking at the thing in Arimura-san's hands. No, they couldn't see it.
これで決まりだ
And
な。
that settles it.
ど
But
どういうこ
what do you
となんで
mean?
すかこれ
今、
But Arimura
Arimura
is holding
hinaga
can prove that
tenishite
someone is a psychic.
それが
It's
能
called
力
a
者の
D
証だ。
sword.
ディソードという
ディソード
A D sword? I'd heard her use that word before. I didn't realize that she was talking about this, though.
その状態の
Only
ディソード
psychics can see D swords
は能
in that
力者にし
state.
か目視でき
In
ない。
other words, if you can see
つ
it,
まり、
it's beyond any reasonable doubt that
それが見える
you're a
お前は
psychic.
間違いなく能力者ということだよ。
I kinda wish they kept with Giglomaniac, but I'm sure there's an important reason for that. You know, given that this chapter is called Giglomaniac. Kinosato-san's cold voice dropped even lower than usual.
でも僕
But I don't...
そんな
I've never used any kind of power like that.
本当に使った覚えもないし
でも事実
But it's true. And I couldn't believe it. So much was going through my head that I couldn't think. I looked over at the D-sword again. Aribina fiddled with it and snorted.
まあ
Well,
同じ
let's
ギガ
follow
ロマニアックス
Giglomaniacs.
同士
We should
もう
probably
少し
get
仲良く
along,
しときますかね先輩
Man, her D-sword is so fucking cool, dude.
ギガロ
Giglomaniacs. I remember Kunosato-san using that word before too.
我々は
And that's what we call
能力者の
psychics.
ことをそう呼んでいる
Giglomaniacs.
ギガロマニアックスと。
呼び
It
方なん
doesn't
か
matter
どう
what
でもい
you
いで
call
す
them. I still can't
それよ
believe
り
it.
やっぱり信じられません 僕の
psychokinesis? You
サイ
called
コ
it?
キネシスとか
That's
そんなの非科
unscientific.
学的です
ああ、
Yeah. Psychokinesis is simply the word I used to make it
お前
easier
が
for
イメ
you
ージ
to
しやすいように
visualize.
そう言っただけだ。
There's actually a more scientific
実際
concept
はもっ
that
と
exists to
科
explain
学的
it.
な概念が存在する。
科学的
Scientific? I looked at Ayurveda's sword skeptically. Scientific? That?
Oh,
無理
I
ですよ
think you're wasting your
黒里さん
time, Kunosato-san.
説明とかしても
Even if you
さっぱり
explained
わ
it,
かんない
he
と思い
wouldn't
ます
understand a word.
ちなみに
By the way,
私は
I
一
didn't
つ
understand
も
it
理
either
解
when
でき
she
てません
explained it to me.
お前と
Don't
一緒に
think
住ん
I'm
だ
like you. I'm
僕はこれ
actually.
でも
はいはい
Yeah, yeah.
Damn, it's just pissing me off. I mean, the fact that she could tell when you're lying probably doesn't help.
理解などしなくてい
You
い
don't need to understand it.
ただ
What you do
最
need
低
to
限のこと
understand
だ
is
けは覚え
this.
ておけ
Don't use your gigglomaniac power like you're in a cartoon.
カー
It's
トゥー
not
ンに
that
登場する
simple,
ような
and it's not
超
that
能力と同じ
pleasant.
ように使うな
Honestly,
そんな安易なものでも
fair
愉快なも
baseline.
のでもない
You literally love Hinari so much, and this is just reinforcing that. Understandable. Have a nice day.
何が違う
And
って言う
what's
んです
different?
ギガロマニアッ
The
クスの能
ability of a
力とは
gigglomaniac is,
簡
put
単に言え
simply,
ば
the ability to
自ら
transform
の
their
妄想を
delusions
現
into
実に変換
reality.
する力だ
妄想を現
Transform their
実に
delusions into
変換
reality? What's she talking about? That's not scientific at all.
ディラックの
Have
海
you
と
ever
いう
heard of the
言葉
Dirac
を
Sea?
まあ
Never mind.
知
Of
らな
course
い
you
だろうな
haven't.
ディラック
The
の海
Dirac Sea. Sarika started to fidget on the sofa. She probably couldn't follow what we were talking about at all. But she could... But, yeah, she could... But she could tell I was nervous.
確か
That's a
量
concept
子
from
力学
quantum
の中の
mechanics,
概
isn't
念で
it?
すよね
ほう
No, I'm surprised.
驚いたな
I didn't expect a mere high
一階
school
の
boy
高校
to
生
know
が知っ
that.
ているとは
For some reason, a lot of people on the Japanese internet loved relativity theorem and quantum mechanics. Schrodinger's cat, for example, had been discussed so many times by now that it was considered an embarrassment to even bring it up. So I knew a little.
真
It's
空を負
defined
の
as
エ
a
ネルギーに
vacuum
満た
filled
され
with
た空
negative
間だと
energy,
定義するん
right?
ですよね
And that vacuum is
で
called the
そこを
Dirac
ディラックの
Sea.
海って呼ぶ
ああそう
And
だ
that's right. The Dirac
Dirac
Sea is a
の海は
world filled with
マイナス
negative
エネルギーに
energy.
満ちた世界ということになる
Kunosato-san looked at Animira's hands as she held her D-sword. And then Animira smiled, a little wickedly.
その
And
なん
this?
とかの
What's it
海
see?
とこ
You
の剣
used
を使
it
って
and the sword to turn
妄
your
想を
delusions
現
into
実にできるん
reality.
ですよ
And that's called a
リア
real
ルブー
boot.
トっていうらしいですけどね
リアルブ
A
ート
real boot.
ディソードは
And
剣
the
の
D-swords
形
are
をして
shaped
い
like
るが
weapons.
実
But that's
は
not
ただ
all
の
they
武器じゃ
are.
ない
There are terminals that let you
リラックの海
interfere
に
with
干渉し
the Dirac
現実
Sea
との間の
and
パイプ
function
とな
as
る
a pipe
端末
between it and reality.
ギガロマニア
By
ックス
using
が
these
その端
terminals,
末を用いると
Egomaniacs can draw out
本来
more negative energy
現実
than
空間
should
の中
normally
に
be
存
able
在
to
できないは
exist
ず
in
の
reality.
負のエネルギーを引き出すことができるすると
Then, in
ポ
accordance
ール
with
セオ
Hall
リーによ
theory,
るペアクリエー
pairs
ショ
of
ンで
particles and
粒子と反
antiparticles
粒
are
子が生ま
created.
れる
They become errors,
それがエラーだ
which can affect the dead spots of
他
others'
人の脳のデ
brains.
ッドスポットに影響を与えるんだ
脳の
Dead
デッド
spots
スポ
of the
ット
brain. Arimura seemed to only half understand this stuff herself, but I was completely lost by this point.
デッドスポッ
By
トとい
dead
うのは
spots, I refer to the
人間
blind
の脳にお
spots
け
in
る
the
視覚
visual
やの視
cortex
覚
of
だ
the
よ
brain, human brain.
そこに影響を
Affecting
与
these
えられる
areas
という
means
ことは
transmitting your own delusions
つまり
into them, so that the
自
target
分の
sees
妄
your
想をそこへ
delusion.
送り込み妄想通りのものを相手に見せられるということだしかも
When that happens,
相手にと
the
ってそれ
target
は
perceives that delusion as a
完全な
completely
現
real
実として認識
phenomenon.
される
でも
But that's just
そ
a
んなのただの
hallucination,
幻
isn't
覚じゃない
it?
ですか
It's no different
催
than
眠術と同じですよ
催
hypnosis.
眠術
Hypnosis? Really?
そうか
Then what if every single person
Yeah.
around you recognizes
その
that
妄想を
delusion as reality?
自分の周りの人間全員がリアルな現実だと共通認識してしまったらどうだ
共通
Every
認識
single person?
そうだ
That's right.
さ
And
ら
what
に
if
それ
by
が
everyone, I met
渋谷中の
every
人
single
間の
person
共
in
通認識になっ
Shibuya.
たらそして
Or, what if that
その
spread
共
to
通認
everyone in
識が
Tokyo? Then
東京
everyone in
中の人間
Japan. And
日
then
本中
everyone
の
in the
人間
world.
果て
Who
は
would tell you that it
世
wasn't
界中の
real?
人間にまで広がっていったとしたら一体誰がそれを現実じゃないと否定できるんだ。
それは
That's
そうしたら
at that point.
妄
Your
想は
delusion
すでに
ceases
作
to
り
be a
事でも
fantasy
幻
or
覚でもなくなる。
hallucination. And then becomes
紛れもない
reality.
現実と化すんだよ。
That's how I call it real booting.
だからそれはリアルブートと呼ばれている。
そんな
That's
バカな。
impossible.
だって
There's no way anyone
そんな
could
ことで
alter
現実が
reality
ね
like
じ曲げられ
that.
るなんて。
I rubbed my head with my fingers, trying to make some sense out of all of this.
仮にいいで
Let's
す
say
か。
that
仮にですよ。
hypothetically, and
僕が
just
その
hypothetically,
ギガロマニアッ
mind
ク
you,
スだった
I
と
was
して
one of these gigalomaniacs.
だけど閉まっ
It's
てるドアの
impossible
鍵
for
を
your
開ける
delusion
と
to
か、
affect
そんな
physical
風に妄
reality,
想が物
like
理
opening
現
a
象にま
locked
で影響を与
door.
えるなんて不可能ですよ。
私たち含め
All of the researchers,
研究者たち
including
も当
us,
初はそう
thought
考
the same
え
thing at
楽
first.
観視して
We
いた。
were incredibly naive.
だがそんな甘いものじゃなかったんだ。
え
My
物理
the
現象すら
delusions
ね
of
じ曲げるんだよ。
gigalomaniacs, and the shared
ギガロマ
reality
ニア
they
ックスの
create,
妄想と
are capable of
そ
altering
れ
the
によって
physical
共通
world
認識化
itself.
された現実は だからこそ
And that's what makes them so
それは
dangerous.
この上なく危険なんだ。
I looked at Arimira's sword, then back at Kunosato-san. Arimira was still smiling as she held the sword in front of me. I couldn't tell if the light it gave off was holy or evil, but for a moment, it was so beautiful that I shivered. October 11th, 2015, a Sunday. The town was filled with noise that threatened to swallow her whole. But that was just the way she wanted it. Shibuya was a town that accepted anybody and rejected everyone. It was the only place that would let her be a part of it now. She moved her legs forward, valiantly, amidst the hustle and bustle. Forward, forward. With each step she took, her face twisted with horrible pain. Or at least, that's how it seemed to her. She didn't know if the pain was actually appearing on her face. Her face was covered with scars, and shielded by long hair that hid her hatred. But as she dragged her legs down the streets, no one in Shibuya stopped to look at her. She was grateful for that, but at the same time, she hated it. A flame burned within her room. It wasn't a flame of hatred. She was nothing but hatred now. The businessmen who passed by her on the street, the empty-headed students, the happy couples, the miserable-looking old people. She hated all of them. But she hated them most of all. She hated the ones who had abandoned her. She hated the ones who'd done this to her. If they hadn't abandoned her, this never would have happened. The hatred burned within her womb. No, she was the hatred. The power she'd gained that day. It was all for this. Only the joy of revenge drove her forward. Forward and forward. And then... she didn't notice that the people who passed by her turned back in surprise. She didn't realize it herself. But this woman was laughing. She was laughing so hard that anyone could hear her. Like black smoke from a flame rising toward the sky. She raised her voice and laughed. Ami-chan, Max Caddy, how goes it? Yashiro's awakening. Not completely yet. What else? He seems to have finally remembered their existence. Yes. What are the sin he committed? Not yet. Understood. It is almost the day of judgment. That's nice. October 12th, 2015, Monday. I'm gonna guess based off of that quick save that this is the next chapter. Let's find out. Aha! It is. I could keep going until we get the title card. But I'm also tired. Oh boy, though. Just oh boy. Well, that's chapter 5. We are officially a little more than halfway, or yeah, we're halfway through our first route now because of that, because there's only 10 chapters if I recall correctly. So, that's exciting. Oh, you guys got any thoughts? I certainly don't. I think the pink-haired being that we last saw is Senri. That's just a thought, though. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's her, though, based off of the implications of everything. Chaos Child just be like, intensifies. So true, so true. Fuck the word Rorschach, cause why? Why is it like that? I hope it doesn't keep coming up, because I'm not gonna remember that it's pronounced like that, because that's very unintuitive. It feels very Higurashi question arc so far. That's fair. I think that's a good comparison, actually. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining, as always. I do appreciate it. But I'll do it. I'll catch you all either tomorrow or sometime next week. That's that. Catch you all later. Bye-bye.